Hey, what's going on, Kid Zone leaders? I'm up in the church offices right now, and this is our March Madness wall. Everyone on our staff filled out a bracket, and I just wanted to let you know that I am currently in third place. I have North Carolina winning, so I need each one of you to cheer me on and cheer on North Carolina. They play tonight, Friday night, and I'm hoping that they win because if I win the overall bracket, I get an extra vacation day, and I want that. So cheer along with me. I want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about something that I think is really important for all of our small group leaders, and that is just 7 key steps to keep the kids engaged in what we're talking about. Super easy to just get into a routine and a rhythm where we do the same thing every single week. But we want to make sure that our small group time is very dynamic. That's the most personal thing that we do in Kids Zone to engage the kids' attention and to build relationships with them. So 7 key things that I want to see everybody doing in their small groups that really can help create that relational dynamic in your small group time. So the first thing is number 1, learn everybody's name and use it at least 2 times when kids come to Kids Zone without looking at their name tag. So I'd like for everyone to learn the kids in your group's name. We always have that cheat sheet with a name tag right on their shirt, but learn their name, call them by name. And if you can address each child by name without looking at their name tag 2 times every single time that they're there, that's going to make a huge difference because you're making a personal connection with that child every time you use their name. So that's the first thing, use their name. Second thing is have fun. Pretty simple there, but in your small group time, you should be having fun. The younger the age group that you have, the sillier you can be. I think it's important just to have time to be silly and laugh, especially in that first small group time. When you have a younger age group, you can be very silly. Just have fun. You laugh, and when you do that, it relaxes the entire audience and the entire group. Do things that are going to make your kids laugh. Just make sure it's not a distraction to the other groups, but have fun, be silly, especially in that first small group time, and spend some time laughing. The other thing is during that first small group time, it's really important to engage everybody in the conversation, not just to have one kid dominate the conversation or you as the leader dominate the conversation. So ask open-ended questions. Here's some examples. You can always have some sort of transitional statement followed by a question. So here's a couple of examples that I would use. First one is, I went to the Pirate game yesterday. What did everybody else do this weekend? And then I would also clarify your expectations by saying, why doesn't everybody take 10 seconds and tell everyone in the group what you did this past weekend? So a couple things that I did there. Number 1, I did a transitional statement talking about what I did over the weekend. I asked everybody what they did, and then I also created some boundaries on a time frame. The reason for that is you can ask a question and you will always have that kid that just goes on and tells this story for about 8 minutes and everybody is disengaged. You don't want to have one kid take over the whole conversation because when you do that, you lose everybody else. So that was one example. Here's another one. I went to Brewster's yesterday and I got white turtle ice cream. That's my favorite. What's everybody else's favorite ice cream flavor? Why don't we all go around and just take 5 seconds and tell us your favorite flavor of ice cream. Again, same thing. Transitional statement. I went to Brewster's. I got white turtle. What's your favorite? Everybody take 5 seconds and tell their favorite ice cream. That engages every single child. Everybody likes ice cream. Another thing that I could do is I twisted my ankle yesterday when I was playing soccer. What is the worst injury that you've ever had? Why don't we all take 30 seconds and each talk about the worst injury or the biggest time that we ever got hurt playing a sport or doing anything. And then you go around the room and have everybody engage in that. When you ask a simple question, it's easy for everybody to engage. So what did you do over the weekend? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And what's the worst injury you ever had? Kids like to talk about those things. They're easy. It's not going to be intimidating. It's not like they don't know the answer. Very, very simple. Okay, so that was the third thing. Fourth thing is play a game that the kids like as long as it doesn't distract other small groups. We've been doing Heads Up or Stella Ella Ola, but this is just one of those things to make it fun. Find out what your kids like to play. I see some of the older boys, they'll take a dodgeball and they'll sit quietly in the circle and they'll just like fire the dodgeball at each other or do like little trick passes. Whoever drops it sits out. If the older boys like that, go ahead and play that. As long as you're not up throwing dodgeballs all over the place, that would be a good option. So figure out what your kids like and play a game like that during that first small group time. Now, in the second small group time, a couple things that I'd like to see everyone do. First thing is listen to the story and develop some good questions beyond the ones on the paper. It's so easy to take your little cheat sheet and read through the questions. Who are the main characters in the story? Make it engaging. Don't just read things off of a piece of paper. The kids want you to be interacting with them, and listen during the teaching time of some of the stories and come up with some questions. An example, when I was leading my Saturday night pulse group with the high school boys, the older high school boys, I would listen to the teaching. I had the small group lesson in hand. I could have followed that, but I listened to the teaching, and I'm just thinking, okay, what are some discussion points? What can I ask? How can I engage conversation? Because your goal is not just to get kids to answer questions. Your goal is to engage conversation so that they can really understand what the story was about and engage in some discussion about it. So listen to that story and ask good questions. Here are a couple examples. So this past week we talked about the prodigal son. There were three main characters. What's one of your questions typically? Who are the main characters in the story? So you have the dad, the good brother, and the bad brother. So I might ask a clarifying question. So tell me about each of them. Tell me about the dad. What was going on with the dad? What are some things that he did? Tell me a little bit about him. Okay, tell me about the good brother. Tell me about the bad brother. And each one has a specific answer. So you may say, tell me about the dad. Well, he always waited for his son, even though he was bad. He was rich. He gave his money away to his son, but he waited for him because he loved him so much. Okay, follow-up question about the dad. Why do you think he did that? Why did he wait for his son? Okay, because he loved him. Don't you think he would have been mad? Would you have been mad if your son took all your money and left? Those are the kind of clarifying questions or the additional questions that can really engage in conversation, because kids are going to give you one-word answers a lot of times. Who are the characters? Dad, brother one, brother two. Okay, tell me about them. Tell me what they did. Tell me why they did that. Why do you think that they behaved that way? Those kind of add-on questions are really good at actually getting the kids to think about the story. So asking a question, why did the dad wait for his son every single day when he left? It forces them to begin to think about things. Why questions are great questions because it's not a one-word answer. It's not yes or no. If you say, do you think the dad waited for him because he loved his son? Yes. Not a great conversation starter. One-word answers don't work. So why questions are very powerful. So ask those additional questions and try to use why questions because it forces kids to think. Okay? So listen to the story, ask additional questions. After you ask the questions, ask those follow-up why questions because those are really, really important. And then the last thing that I'd like to see everyone do is take prayer requests with your kids. Take some time, go around the circle and say, tell me what we can pray for. Couple things that happen there. It engages you in their lives. They begin to understand that you are caring about them as a person, not just leading your discussion. It gives everybody the opportunity to open up, and it also teaches our kids to pray. You want to give kids the chance to pray if they feel comfortable with it. Don't force somebody that's really shy to pray in front of the whole group if that makes them nervous. But if there are kids that do want to pray, have a couple of kids pray. You can maybe assign prayer requests to different people. You can pray and model what prayer looks like, but make sure you spend that time taking prayer requests from kids. So just a quick recap. First thing, learn everybody's names. Second thing, have fun, be silly, laugh often. Third thing, you want to also ask open-ended questions to start your small group time, the first small group time. Things like, which favorite flavor of ice cream? What's the biggest injury you've got? What cereal do you like? Because it engages everybody. Fourth thing, play games during that first small group time as long as they're not distracting, and play the games that the kids like. Fifth thing, listen to the story and develop some good additional questions that you can ask. Sixth thing, ask those follow-up questions, specifically why questions, because they engage in conversation. Seventh thing, take prayer requests and teach your kids how to pray. That's all I got for you. Love for you guys to really include some of these dynamics in your small group time. I think it's really going to help engage the kids and create a better experience. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you this weekend at Kids Zone.